I can talk. Okay.
You can talk. We are live.
We can.
Well, welcome to Google Hangouts. As usual, a couple little squiggles, but here we are, and glad to see you both again. And more will be coming in too. Uh, as you can tell, I've aged considerably since the conference. I've come down with a terrible colds, which is all zipped up, despite the fact that 2 meters away is a very rosy fire going.
Should we tell to people that we are who we are and so on? I mean, those people
they know,
here, they know.
Sake.
Yes,
Yeah.
but the others maybe not.
The others don't.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
I'm Heidi, and this one is Mark.
The sick one is Mark. Yeah.
And we are the Wisdom Factory. We both are the Wisdom Factory.
Yes.
And we have community, very faithful community members. And this one of them is Hans. Say hello.
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 Yes,
Good.
great
And also, Gertrud, we have seen you very often in the Wisdom Factory.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
And we are still waiting for Henrik from Sweden, from Stockholm, who said he would come, and he will come in, hopefully, with the right link.
Yeah, if he gets the right link.
Okay, so...
And what are we doing here tonight? Why are we here?
We want to harvest the conference. We were last week, it's almost 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We were in Siofok in Hungary at the Lake Balaton in a big hotel. And there was a huge conference, about 400 people. And I didn't get to know everybody. I mean, really, it was too many to connect with everybody. Yeah. But we had wonderful, how do you say, in the whole group, keynote presentations. And then we did also presentations in smaller format. And we did one. Mark was talking about integral aging, and we will tell you a little bit later. And Gertrud, you did something. Would you like to just name it, and we talk about it later?
Yeah. Actually, we did 3 different things. We did first unity and diversity. This is about midwifing a system of influence that nurtures, celebrates, and energizes work that matters and enlivens. And there we did the middle part of a bigger context, and painted a picture together, and from our dreams. And we did a second one to have the people that had questions about it, so in the main conference. And then we talked about holacracy and the journey to teal, from our experience of being 4 years in a holacracy or organized way in our organization, and about a new tool to have consent-oriented firms organized.
Great. So, I have invited everybody in the Facebook group which is named participants of the conference, but everybody who is in the conference, who was part of the conference as watcher or audience or as active member, they are invited to join us even in further hangouts and present what they did to the public, because this is a public hangout, and it will be
reaching millions.
Yeah, millions maybe not, but there is a possibility to be found, So take the chance and come in and talk about your subject. And now we go over to Hans.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm just little Hans from Berlin. I didn't present anything. So I was just basically consuming, being there to be inspired and to listen to all the great talks and presentations. And actually, coincidence has it that I attended both you, Mike, and Mark and Heidi's presentation, also Gertraud's process. So actually, I am on the painting somewhere, left my mark on that painting too. So yes, I mean, I would have expected that by now I would have digested the whole experience, that, you know, enough to be able to just like analyze it a bit or talk about it in like kind of a coherent way, but it appears I'm still not really ready. It seems that so much happened and so much input I'm still digesting. It was just such a wonderful experience, but also a little bit overwhelming, and like all the experiences and encounters and inspirations, and I mean, yeah, so I'm still, and also I just only 2 days ago I got back from Hungary. I stayed longer in Budapest after the conference.
That's what I wanted to say to the people, that that was not only the conference, but many of us, like you and we too, we went on the 3 days magical mystery tour through Hungary. Yeah. And this was also something which is, you know, it's not just you go there and then it's over.
Yeah.
It was a real, I don't know. Hungary is further enough east to be rather exotic for me. You know? It was also a visit to, in some ways, what it was like even in Soviet days, because we saw Ladas and Trabis and so forth still running around. Like a trip to the past. These little square houses out in the country, wondering how is there enough room for families in these little houses. I said, room enough for a couple, but 4 or 5 kids. Oh my goodness. Just
so before we dive in, I would like to invite everybody to give a little emotional picture of, you have begun already, Hans, to say that, but how could you describe the whole experience before we go into the detail? Would you like to begin, Gertraud?
Exactly, yes.
How was it for you? You know, how your emotional takeaway?
It was a mixture of new inputs, like sites, slide talk about the economy, and really getting new insights from the key speeches and some others. It was meeting so many people. I think this whole room, the 400 people, it was a safe space. It was, you didn't have to hide, you didn't have to think about how, if you look good, or it was like just being with people that are being with you. So I felt very, just being there with people and having conversations that really mattered. And some very close encounters that I didn't expect, that they were so easy to be that close with people you have never seen before. And of course it was so great to see some of, like you, knowing for 2 years or more, and others like Chris, who started the wiki with Frederick, or Victor from the Teal for Startups community, and Julia, where we work together, and sometimes weekly conversations and and then see them finally. It was so great. It was so heartwarming, and to finally have that personal connection, to be able to squeeze you and the others.
Amaze you.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of squeezing going on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was really a great thing. And then the teal track, where I was mostly, because that was our main concern for the conference, to present that part of business.
Yeah, can
integral
you
business.
A little bit what teal track is for people who don't know what that means?
This is I don't know if that's the right wording, but these are people that have read the book Reinventing Organizations by Frederic Laloux, and thought, this is how we want to work. And then we took out the content of the book into a wiki form. It's like you can have, you can look for organizational structure, you can look for decision making, or so you can just go there and see how others did it. And so we were working there for a year altogether now, and now the book should be outgrown, like other examples coming in and things like that. Or the Teal for Startups community, how can we support people that want to do it right from scratch, not go the old way first. So
do you have documentation for that? Is there a website or something?
Yes, it's not only one but several Facebook groups, but the Teal for Startups is a Facebook group, the Wiki for Reinventing Organizations is a Facebook group, and sure, there are websites as well. The one is a WordPress still, but it will be another one. And when you go on the reinventingorganizations.com, then you get all what Frederic has collected as content. And the Enlivening Edge, which is an online magazine, and as the name says, it's go to be kind of somebody who this organization shows articles about whatever is in that enlivening edge, so in that realm of new ways of doing business. And they decided to have one part of the conference to be in that business realm, and I was more occupied with that a lot, so I can say a lot about that. I would have loved to see some others, but I thought it was more important to be there at the moment. So I had a good mixture.
Good. So for who was not at the conference, you can see from what Gertraud says that she was very much engaged and working in it, and so part of, let's say, the actors. And how was it in the audience for Hans?
Oh, I was a bit overwhelmed by that there was so much going on, and then always had to make these hard decisions where to go to next. And
yeah, that was bad.
It was really hard. Like, I'm not good at making these choices. I already always say, like, when I go to a supermarket and they have 20 different kinds of orange juice, I'm always like, why? But and there was so much great high quality stuff. So okay, yeah. I mean, and I think I really enjoyed being in the audience. I considered before to volunteer in the conference. Also, to be honest, because it was a lot of money for me to go to the conference, and I'd say, like, if I volunteer, then I would both meet people, maybe in a more intense way, and also save some money. But just then, like, realizing how much work I had over the last months, I was just wanted to give this as a gift to myself, to just be there and not have any pressure on me and just like move freely and just enjoy and absorb. And I'm really glad I did do it that way. You know, it was it was worth that. And for me, it seems a bit like it was almost like a stepping or notching it up a level. I mean, before, like all this integral theory and reading Ken Wilber books and all that, I've done that for a long time. Started in my late teens, almost 20 years ago. But it was mostly in my own head and, you know, kind of talking to myself mostly. And then when I did 2 years ago the Superhuman Operating course with you guys, and Gertrud was in there too, and Mark, that made it more real in a way, because then I had, even it was still online, but I was able to talk to people who were in a similar space, and so it became more plastic. And now going to this conference made it even more real to me, because then there was like physical encounters and hugs and being with people in the same room, and also getting a taste of, you know, what that could be like, you know, to be with, I mean, just to be with so many conscious people, you know. I mean, I don't consider myself to be like an awakened, enlightened person or anything, but the overall frequency of just like, you know, open-mindedness and consciousness, just, I mean, it's just it's not a very average situation that we would experience on an everyday basis, just, you know, going out on the street, or you know, if we don't work in a teal startup business, then probably not at work either. So I don't know. So I think, even, for example, I personally, I'm not a business person, and I'm not very interested like in creating a company or anything like that, but just like even getting a taste of being among so many you know, very conscious people. I mean, it's just it's very inspiring, like, and it makes me very optimistic and hopeful for the future in general, that these things are happening, and I could, you know, get a real taste of it. And yeah, so yeah, I'm very happy and grateful for that. Mm.
Yeah.
Well, your response, Hans, is leading me to ask a slightly devilish question.
Go on.
And then, okay, well, there's going to be another conference in 2 years, and this was our first presentation.
Well, not mine. I have already.
Okay,
he's the newbie.
I'm the newbie. And so, in 2 years, what would you like to present? Have you thought about that?
Oh, what would I like to present in 2 years? No, I really haven't thought about that at all, to be honest. I'm pretty confident that I would go again. But would I present something? I don't know. I mean, you see, I mean, a conference like this, it needs presenters and it needs an audience, and I was very happy with, you know, having that role. I think I could, well, maybe that sounds a bit, no, I think I was contributing to this conference, despite of not being a presenter, you know. So, I don't know, who knows, maybe I come up with an idea or with a project. I think, who knows. At the moment, nothing is jumping at me as like, oh, this is my mission, or this is something that I could present. Yeah, no.
Okay, we will see.
We'll check with you later.
I'll check with me later, or if you have an inspiration for me, I'm all ears.
So, Hans, what you are saying about so many conscious people, I'm going to these conferences mainly in Germany, and since they're in Hungary also there, for 60 years now, every year. And I was drawn to that because I live in Italy, and in Italy it's really difficult to be in a group of people with this level. And every time I went to this conference, you feel that it's a different bunch of people. The being together is different. It's not complicated. There are no quarrels there normally. No, I mean, in Germany we had also in more private meetings we had that too, but not in the conferences mainly. There is a way of availability to be in service of content and the mission we have, no, the purpose we have. And I think this was breathing also this conference. And what we should tell people who haven't been there, that it was not only head stuff. It began with morning practices which were too early for people to come. Thank you. That you were in mine.
I made it.
Yeah, you made it, and it was very nice, actually. We have here the kitty. She needs to go down.
Yeah, okay. The blind kitty who needs a little help getting down.
And then we had an hour interval for breakfast for people who stayed in the hotel, and then there were the keynote speakers. And there were normally 3 keynote speakers. And I actually, for me, it was almost everything. I picked something new, some new insight out of that. And it was really, really, really great. I mean, maybe not always because of the content, also because of how the are and how they present themselves. And actually, what I really liked, how the Dennis and Ben say, the let's say the creators of the conference, how they introduced the whole thing. They sort of opened the room for very clear statements, and that was sort of giving I don't want to say rules, but it was the context, the frame, the boundaries of the whole thing, and it really was from the beginning to the end. I think it really held this frame, and we co-created the energy there, which is a different energy than a conference where people talk only head stuff, because in the afternoon, or not even in the afternoon, often in the second half of the morning, there were sort of half presentations, sometimes in workshop way, so it was already a different way of doing. Then in the afternoon were real workshops, experiential workshops, and they were sometimes really, as you said, Hans, really deep experience. Important, and for the soul and for the heart, and you know, it was digging deep in our being. And then there were these magical things like the fire, and that's a very nice thing. I hope somebody would be here about the constellation to talk about the constellation. I think we have to address them directly and ask them to join us and to talk about that. It was really great experiences. So all brains were engaged, and all quadrants were engaged.
Every color of our
all brains, the three, the heart and gut brain as well.
Yes.
We were in coherence, as the hard math would say.
So what was your reptile brain doing?
And this was I think the difference to so many other meetings, conference meetings we have met so far, and I think this team really created a perfect mix between these two, and the cohesion. And
what I liked about the elevator pitches was like, okay, I had this luxury problem to choose with the different orange juices or so, but there was also like, you can't be wrong, whatever you choose. and I created like that where I am is the right place. So I said, I can't do everything, so whatever I choose can't be wrong, so it's the right place. And that was really, really good. And I was there with 2 colleagues, and we shared a room together, and we saw each other in the morning to get dressed and have the breakfast together, and then somehow we did workshops together and spread out in the community, and in the next morning we talked about it. So it was really, really good to have that experience with them, because many times I'm alone somewhere and then I come back and said, oh, I had this wonderful, whatever. And they said, oh yeah, great for you. And, so to have that together with my colleagues and to grow together, that was really, really great. So I'm very grateful for this double treat. And you named it already. For me, one of the very big, deep experiences was the constellation. Mm-hmm. And this was, it's very hard to say if I don't want to go in details, but for me, somehow the role chose me. It was my hand was up before I could even think.
What did you do?
I was in the role of the European soil.
Mm-hmm.
And this experience was so, I don't know, deep, and there was some neutrality, as if I was neutral, but also feeling what all the people that came to me felt. So the feeling the countries, or feeling the terrorists or the migrants, that was a very, very big part. And knowing if I'm not connected to the European soul, there's something wrong. So that was a big part.
Great, and there will be a how do you say, a collection of the experiences.
Yeah, I sent mine already.
Yeah, and there will be a sort of an elaboration of the what came out of it. We saw it both from outside.
Yeah.
Last time he had a big role. He was Mr. Kissinger 2 years ago. Trying to talk to Europe.
If I wanted to talk to Europe, who would I call? Yeah.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that.
To the summary.
For the summary, yes. Because there was so much happening. I think it's everybody involved could only always get like segments of it, because there was so much happening. It was incredible. I mean, I think it will be surprising to hear what some of the participants experienced. It will give new nuance and layers to the whole thing. I'm very curious about it. Yeah.
Yep.
So I would like go ahead if you want to add something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that one thing that struck me there, besides this soul-soil connection, which I found very, very important, was the despair of the migrants in Europe. So there was one part of my role there. I was looking for the refugees. They were more with the trauma, and it was more like short term. But the migrants that are here for, I don't know, 30 years or so, that they were so disconnected and in despair and even reluctant. So it was really, that struck me. I hadn't expected that. And one other thing was when I looked across the room and saw Germany, and she was, in not good shape. It was like, and looking at her and feeling that centuries and even more soaked in blood. The soil soaked in blood. So and it's kind of, when Ken Wilber says, it's it hurts more and bothers you less. There was kind of that feeling of neutrality and still feeling it. So, and there was a, as if that was meaningful, what we do. I don't know how that will affect Europe, but it felt as if it was meaningful. And there was these terrorists that circled around the shame all the time, in only one direction, and only backwards, and only crawled in, and only with anger and frustration, and couldn't be stopped by anyone. And then at the end, there were two big men just holding him and stopping him. It was like, whew, you know, it can be done. If they were not mean or anything. They were just there and determined to stop him. A big one and a little one who was not that tall, but it was this feeling. It was like, I couldn't do it. And to know that somebody can do that.
Well, you shed light on some confusion and disappointment that I felt with the constellation Gertraud, because there was a group of maybe, I don't know, 15 Americans who were outside the circle, and I was among them. And then they divided that group into two because there were too many of us in one group. And I felt very isolated and out of place, partly because I am American, yes, but I've been in Italy for the past 5 years. And so I was, in a sense, a migrant also, you know, and I spent the rest of the time wandering around the circle trying to find someplace where I fit, where I could be okay. And it didn't happen, and it was ended up the singing never got underway. I couldn't join into that because it didn't happen, and it just kind of fizzled out for me after a while. And I walked away before it actually ended, not long before, but I was hoping for some magic. And for me, you know, this wanderer, there wasn't any magic, so I felt a little bit like one of those frustrated migrants you talked about.
Yeah.
Interesting. So there is Aline who is saying, Gertraud, thank you for sharing so authentically. I'm really getting an experience of what you have lived.
Yeah.
I unfortunately cannot bring up the comment. Yeah. I think there is so much in it, and this was a constellation of about how many people were there? 40, 50 inside the room doing different roles, and you couldn't get it all. I mean, from where I was, I saw the shame and the very important figure who was sort of fixed on her chair, on her throne, and was very, very, very...
I think there was violence.
Also. Yeah. Anyway, I would like to go over to the newbie here and ask him to share the experience he had with his presentation, because...
Oh, well, sure, that was a highlight for me. Not the only thing that happened there, but the most kind of unique thing. And what surprised me about the presentation was that once I started talking, I was just talking, and it was just fine, and I could just go on, and you jumped in occasionally, speed up, hurry up, move along. The director from the side. But within that framework, I think I did quite well, and people seemed to respond to me, and I was able to say what I wanted to say. And I felt alive and full of spirit and full of energy. And the hardware worked fine, the thing I had to wear on my head. And that was just a wonderful experience. And I felt like, oh, now I really am participating at a different level, you know?
Not only consuming,
Not
as you
only,
did before.
but you know, being able to share and give something of what I was passionate about and knew something about.
Yeah, and thanks to Hans, we have also a recording.
Oh, steady hand, hands. Yes.
Yeah, and you can be in the Facebook group bit.ly/bit.aging. Write it this way. I don't know. You can write it as things. This is the Facebook group because you didn't say the title of your presentation. It was about aging, about creating a different story.
Creating a different story for our aging, because nobody has lived as long as we have, you know? Historically, they haven't.
And you know, with Hans, what you said before, and also Gertraud, that you need somebody to talk about what you have read or what you have lived. And since I know Mark and we are together, this is really, I think, the most amazing thing we have. We can talk together. And this presentation we did sort of together because we talked about that all the time and we practice it. And as long as we are alone, you know, it sort of remains that stuff. But as soon as we are with others and practice it, then it gets embodied. And I think that's what we need in this time of our...
It adds whole new dimensions to be there in public doing it.
Okay, you have written here a comment.
No, I have a link to the. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
Your Facebook group. Okay, I will post.
That is, it's the picture from our the Unity in Diversity. It's the dream painting that we did with 14 people.
Okay.
So I will.
Of Unity in Diversity.
Yeah, just when you click on the link, then you can share it here.
Yes, I shared it in the outside chat, so people can see it there. Yeah. Okay. So for me, I participated in this his presentation. I always said it is his baby. And I felt quite well in the collaboration we have found together. And I succeeded not to be too bossy. Yeah, Hans, and now to you. What is in your heart, what you want to share? One highlight which you would like to elaborate a little bit.
One highlight. It's strange, I must say. I mean, it's hard. There were just so many, and they're still like going like a swirl in my mind, and I'm kind of like they're just popping up like images and faces and emotions. I must say, as great as all the presentations were and all the workshops, what I enjoyed the most was just the socializing time with people in the evenings. And apparently the team of the conference made a point of that too. They were thinking about putting more program, but then decided that actually the socializing time is as important and as vital to the whole process as everything else. And I mean, you know, after sharing all these experiences, just to sit with somebody at the lake or at the bar even, or wherever, and like engage with people, it's just, I don't know, it's very precious, beautiful little encounters. I think that's what inspired me the most, just to meet other human beings, you know, I mean, and that have this similar shared, like, mutual understanding of things. This is really, I don't know. Like, I mean, you said said it too. In Italy, probably where you live, it doesn't happen a lot. And also, to me, this is not a very common experience for me to have this kind of a resonance going on with basically strangers. You know? But it didn't really feel like strangers to me at all. So that's yeah, it's just amazing. And I mean, even in a way, like I said before, it made the whole thing more real to me, also in the sense that because there were some really big names of the kind of integral universe, let's say, and so I also met some of them and got to know them and a little bit, and I also felt, oh, they're also only humans. You know, they had also their little tics and neuroses, just like me and everybody else. But to me, it was not a disappointment. It was just like, it just made it more real even. I was like, okay, this is just, you know, real humans who are, you know, inspired and trying their best to move forward and grow and open their minds and their hearts. And yeah, I was an optimistic person before, you know, about the human situation, unlike many people. And now I'm even more optimistic than before. So, yeah.
Oh, I'd like to ask you more about that. Because a lot of people are feeling, you know, really very uneasy about the coming future, even the near future. You know, this year, next year, very soon, and that's an undertone that we noted in many conversations, and you're coming away feeling even more optimistic. Can you say something about that? I mean, if it's just a feeling, it's just a feeling.
Well, it is. It's not just a feeling. I think part of it. I think it's many different things. I think the whole integral understanding itself gives a lot of reason for optimism, because it's just a lot of things that just seem bad or ugly before suddenly seem to play their part, and they are part of a process, and they are. I mean, it's like, you know, when you look at giving birth and the pain that goes with it. I mean, you know, if you only look at the pain, then it might sound like an ugly thing to happen, but it's actually a byproduct of something beautiful that is happening. And I think the whole notion of an evolutionary impulse and of the universe becoming more complex and more awake and through humans, basically. So, I mean, that is a very optimistic notion, like, of reality by itself. Then I think some types of people also tend to be more optimistic than others, that some people more like look at what is not working or what is going wrong, and other people just maybe from their typology have an easier time to notice more what is already great. And I think thankfully, I belong more to the second category. So that is part of it. And then just this experience, real life experience of meeting other people, that's what I mean, like in carbon-based reality, and seeing this degree of like mutual resonance. One more reason to be optimistic. So,
you know what, Hans, what I even also with you and with Gerda, but I have experienced it before, when we had such an intense exchange online on video, then when we meet each other in person, it's adding something, but you are not a stranger anymore. You are, you know, the heart already open, and it's just the physical embrace was missing.
That was nice too.
This is part of the reason why I'm so excited about video, and why I invite people to come. I mean, and share their things on video, and not only write, because writing at the end, reading all the stuff is a little bit but when you see the person and then they emanate certain energy and they talk about their topic. I will ask you a little bit, Gertrud, now about your topic. Then you are much more inclined to engage also with the written text, for instance, than when you only get another article. and another article, and another article. You know?
And more print and more print.
More print. It's for me, it's much less inspiring anymore, but this sort of, and even more in person, but we can afford that to be all the time together. So Gertrud, I would like you to tell a little bit of what you are up to and what you invite people to. I just participated in one of your initiatives, and there might be people interested in that too. So please tell us a little bit.
Yeah, I first want to second what Hans said. This mixture out of deep experience, something for the brain, and the connection. That was really the jewels from the workshop. It started some weeks before, I don't know, 2 months before the conference. There is so much noise. Is that? Am I doing that, or?
The noise is only happening when you are speaking, so I don't know if it has. I was assuming that it had to do with you, but I'm not sure.
So I can't mute myself when I'm talking. Sorry for that. So I try it again. Actually, that already is a miracle, how it happened. It was people meeting somewhere in an open space conference, and then I said, well, I would like to do something about appreciative inquiry, and Susan from Auckland, New Zealand, she said, why don't you come to us? And so we kind of created around the world this new thing. And what we want to do, we say, okay, there are so many different communities of practice, like the Wiki, the Tier for Startups, the Tier for Teal, the whatever. And they sometimes they don't know from each other, or the whole theory ULAB part, or the flourish prices that come from the business school in Cleveland, Ohio, to have a world inquiry about what's working already in the business field. So we thought it's good to know how can those come together and have some, like having 50 tea candles spread somewhere, and you bring them all together somehow, and they, when they come closer and closer, all of a sudden the heat is big enough that it's one flame and really makes a difference. So so we started an appreciative inquiry process with calls and breakout calls where people did pair shares, pair interviews, and you could see them in the Unity and Diversity Facebook group. And out of this we said, okay, let's collect the jewels, and from those what's working already, like being a contribution to others, or having a real clear purpose, or those jewels, we collected them, and then in the workshop, Hans, you know, we went into a vision. How could that look like, this system of influence that brings several networks and the network of communities of practice together? And out of that vision, without talking, people went to that big paper and started from their hearts painting, and it was so wonderful to have 14 people that don't know each other, that even didn't do interviews. There were just one or two that have done the interviews, but stepped into that field. And that's why I think the constellation has an impact. They stepped into that field of that system of influence and created that wonderful picture that I linked in the chat box. And from there, then we created, we collected what is it, the quality of painting that, and out of that, the title for the picture came, Love as It Is. And then we created the bridge to that future. And that was Embrace Unity, Be Love Now. And in further calls, we have done a poem to that title. So it's a wonderful, wonderful poem, and I have placed it into the IEC participants thing. And yeah, and today we had a call about the so-called destiny phase. That means, how does that look like in real world? And these are so wonderful conversations that we will go on with that. And this will be an ongoing process to really get that together and get those people together and have them interlinked and have those deep conversations that bring the whole further. Somebody said today it's like nebulous, and yes, it's kind of like, how does the galaxy organize itself? So we don't know really how that works, but yeah, it will be some kind of gravity that brings certain parts together and have them somehow make their system. And I second also what Hans said, that I have a view of the future that actually, if we can do that, if we have conferences like this, if we have this constellation, I think we are working on the field. We are working more than just in our seeable body.
Yeah, absolutely. And can you tell people again if they want to participate at your initiative, where they find you?
I just I will put it in the chat, the link to it.
Okay, I will post it on the page. But you can also say it for people on YouTube who don't see the comments. Can you say it? What is
you mean the link?
No, the exact name where they can Google you.
Google. The Unity and Diversity doesn't have a website yet. It's the Facebook group, so you can ask if we can. You just ask for permission to join, and we can accept you. But what I will do is to put the link, the short link, in the chat box where you can get all the information you need. You know, where everything that is a part of a Google Docs, and this is a bigger thing that we just map out in Kumu.
Good. Okay. Because I will post that as soon as you write it. I have posted already our Integral Aging Facebook group, and also I asked the people to please fill in our survey. It's http://bit.ly// survey age. SURVEYAGE, survey age. This is a short link for the survey, because we want to collect data on how people see their older age and how they want to live in a visioning process, and then out of that hoping to connect with people who collaborate to really create that then, and go out of the nursing homes where people, we have here 300 meters, where people enter, are still alive in their head, and after 4 weeks they are on. You know, that's not the future. I don't want it, and I think almost nobody wants it. But there are a few institutions. Gertrud, you have led these nursing homes. You have a little bit of experience how they looked like, and can look like. I wonder if you just for a second could talk about what your vision is for your older age. And then we ask Hans, because he has a little bit more time.
Yeah, he has more time to think about
well,
it.
so relative.
So I just posted more information about the Unity and Diversity process, and I put in the link, and you can share it in the other box. So, and if you want to join in, please, you're welcome to the Unity and Diversity Facebook group.
Thank you.
So let's first go to Hans and ask him how he thinks what older age will be for him, and how he would like to live.
Wow, and then in 10 seconds.
Yes.
Wow. It's funny, you know, I was always a very morbid child, and as a child I was always convinced that I would never grow to be even an adult. I was so obsessed with death as a child, and I read all these books of children dying of cancer and all this, and was, I don't know, I felt drawn to that, and then the older I get now, I more and more realize, oh, it's like, if I really want to die young, it's I have to start hurrying up a little bit. So I'm surprised that now I am kind of slowly approaching my well, I'll be 38 by the end of this year, so I don't know. I was lucky. I worked in a place for older people in my hometown in Bielefeld, and already it was, I'd say, like a big improvement to like the big residences, almost like factories to like clean and feed older people. It was a very green place, you know, and like for the people who are going to watch your presentation, Mark, on integral aging, they will hear that there's a lot of beautiful, great things about green level of consciousness when it comes to, you know, dealing with older people, but it also has its limitations. I don't know, so I mean, but that was still something where I thought, okay, it wouldn't be too bad to live in a place like that, you know, it would be relatively comfortable, because people were really, I don't know, they were asked what they want to do, what they want to eat, whom they want to work with, and all this, so there was a lot of self-determination going on, and it was try to help people stay in their local communities where they lived before, best in their own houses, or if it's not possible, then very close in the neighborhood, so that they still are integrated in this whole network of, you know, relations. So I very much hope that when I am older still, right now, that I think, like all of us, hope to still be able to live my life as self-determined as possible, and you know, if I'm not physically able to do it all myself, then to have some help, and also to have maybe some technological help at that time, but also to have nice and caring people around me who you know, are still interested in me and interested in what I have to say and what I want. And so in a way, you know, I just don't want to have a lot of change to my life now, you know. You know, maybe there will be some adjustments, you know, because some needs might change and some abilities might change. Some will increase, some will decrease. So it's an adventure, but yeah, I don't have very concrete ideas yet, but maybe you, more or less, you get my drift.
Yeah, thank you.
I do, yes.
And Gertrud, how far are these institutions you worked on already in a different way organized, or do you think that you bring your knowledge or your expertise, which you are now gathering about new organization styles, do you think to bring it into this sort of institution?
This is not an easy question. Actually, it's many years ago that I was there, and I would say it was a pretty amber or blue context in which I worked, and me being green, more or less, it was not so easy.
Oh yeah.
So there were some familiarities, like there was a saying, einmal Verband, immer Verband. Once in this, always. So people didn't quit normally. They just stayed there for years and years and years, and even if it was not good. And I think what I got was that coming into an institution is not bad for everybody, because we had some people that stayed at home and they were just hairs grown. They didn't eat enough. So they were I don't know the word, verwahrlost.
Bad off, let's say.
Yeah, and when they came, they really went from almost having dementia to normal beings again. So I wouldn't just say, okay, everything is bad. Yeah. Actually, I studied nutrition and home economics and facility management, so I was not in charge of the nursing itself, but of everything that was around the house and even the house itself. So what I realized is that people don't go to nursing homes because they need nursing. They go because they cannot do their own home. Mm-hmm. Their own household, their own housekeeping anymore. So if you have pretty close to home for them, it's actually, for many, it's not a bad place. Mm-hmm. But it's not as I would like to have my old age. So for me, it's more like living in a context like several generations in one house or in a sector, to be together and get the nursing, but also get the contact to other generations. I don't want. I think Mark, you said something about Florida, and just having only old people around. I want to see my granddaughter. She's just 1.5. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be 60 in a few days, and so I really want to have all generations. I want to have life in life, not just waiting till it's over.
Yeah.
So.
We will organize a talk maybe in next week only about the old age topic, ageism also, mm-hmm. And I invite you to come in. This one was more about the conference, and I think we have talked quite a bit, and mm-hmm. we just do a short round and close it, still coming back to the conference. Aging was one of the topics, but there were many more. So everybody, last word, which you really want to get out today. But do you begin?
Oh, gosh. I love the socializing, too. It was really great. I haven't drank that much in a long time, you know, and I have to be careful about that. But other presentations, I learned a lot about my own background from the talk by, gosh, help me, who presented the talk on early childhood development. This senior moment, okay.
Terry
Yes.
O'Fallon and Kim Barta?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Terry O'Fallon.
Terry O'Fallon, and I listened to her talking about the pre-talking stage, where children develop in so many ways and never have any memory of it because they don't have language and they can't kind of store these things away in some symbolic way, and it helped me actually look back at my very earliest spotty memories and make sense of them in a new way. And I found that personally invaluable. But that was in a very personal kind of way. But I think probably Said and Elsa's talk about the Middle East and about economics, just expanded my understanding of what's going on in ways that I didn't get from their books. That was excellent, excellent. So there's more to say, more. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
next.
I just think I didn't mention that in one of with Enlivening Edge, we had a conference with Toronto. So we had a half circle on our side, and they had a half circle on their side, and we had a Zoom conversation with them. And it was so great to have this at the same time together. And then there's one guy, Brent, stepping up, and he is part of the Tier for Startups community that I hear 2 or 3 times a week. So it was so great to be connected to the world. Or in our conference, in our Dream and Design for the Unity and Diversity, we had a Zoom. We had the computer on and the Zoom conversation with Susan in Auckland. She wanted to be there, and the other one in Paris, Hélène. So it was kind of, we were connected to the world, and we were also, there were, I think, 40 different nations. Europe doesn't have that many. So there were so many people coming from abroad to be part of Brazil, South Africa, Canada, like Gaia with her wonderful pictures, and the others. And I think that this interconnectedness, or now with Unity and Diversity going on, so I think, and having all this now, the presentations and the pictures on the website, or that this is an ongoing conversation. It's not just a great conference and that's it. And I think it's one of the big things that I take out, that we are still connected and that we're still going on with what we are doing, and everybody who is coming back to his own work is infused by what was going on and gives it back. So with like the constellation, now they are mapping up all the constellation reports and getting a bigger picture, and then they come back to us, and this back and forth, and I just love that, and I loved to have that conversation with exactly you people, because I mean, you're the first. I didn't know anything about this before I attended the course, the Superhuman Operating System with Ken Wilber. So you got my baby steps in that arena, and I really appreciate the ongoing conversation with you in connection with the whole gang.
Yeah, what you said. Everybody goes home and everybody does their part and continues to do their part. And doing this sort of conversation, and I hope we can do more, it's to keep it together, because connected. The experience was on previous conferences often that you see once a year, and then during the year nothing. And this is a little bit a shame, you know, because we can, we can keep ourselves up to date, you know, and stay together, so we don't fall into a hole. Because often it happened to me that after I'm so excited about, then I come home and it's still about 3-4 weeks, and then oops, people are gone.
Yeah.
No connection anymore. Maybe you write an email, but it's not the same. Yeah. So I invite you and everybody who is watching now and later to connect with us. Come on video with us and show your face. We want to see you. But first, before we close, this is Hans to say his last words, and you close us out.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, so many things I could say, but I mean, one thing that I haven't mentioned and that really was a great gift for me and an inspiration was that so much in the conference was on the issue of the refugee situation in Europe, as this is where I am spending most of my waking hours at the moment, is working with refugees. And once again, I mean, just having these encounters like with these incredibly like loving but also incredibly like intelligent, sharp minds, you know, that I met there. Like, I mean, Elsa Malouf and later Sheringa, and unfortunately I forgot the name of the Swedish presenter who was also looking at the refugee situation in Sweden. It was just so, I'm still feeding from that, and it will definitely inspire how I will show up at work. And all the synchronicities that are happening, you know, yesterday I went to a book reading of Amir
Evolve magazine.
Amir Nasser. He is also inspired by Ken Wilber, and he is a Muslim blogger from Sudan originally, and he had a book reading in Berlin yesterday, and I went there, and I actually met a few people from the conference. So we were all like hugging and happy, and actually, and his central point in his presentation also was about the shame. And it was like, wow, I hadn't given that this much attention before. And I mean, and I mentioned, I mean, the shame, she claimed the throne of the soul of Europe. I mean, it was like, wow, you know, I mean, all these things that are happening, you know, and meet the people again, and the subjects they interweave. It's just, I don't know, I can't put it into words, but it just feels like a very rich field of mutual inspiration and synchronicities, and it's just all putting me in a very happy and optimistic and inspired place. So I'm very grateful, and yeah, looking forward for what's to come.
So what I would say from what you are saying, something is moving. We are maybe not completely aware what it is and how it is, but it is going ahead, and it seems to be positive.
Yes, to notice what is already happening. It's like what Gertrude said about also the book of Frederick Laloux. He described what is already happening. So, I mean, to notice all the great things that are already happening. Yeah, it's
Destiny is on its way.
Yeah. The jewels.
Yeah, wonderful. And we're doing all our part to help evolution to go right.
Yeah, we are happening too.
Yeah, happening too. Okay, guys, thank you so much. You too.
Me too. You too.
And hope to see you soon again.
Yeah.
Talk, continue.
Yes.
The connection.
Thank you.
Bye. And who is watching?
Bye.
Join us. Bye bye.
Thank